This bill threatens to lock people out of future prosperity. And, Deputy Speaker, the member for Herbert has left, but I would make a discriminatory difference in some of the assertions that he made. Governments may have to bring in legislation beyond an election. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a government that made promises before an election, with a plural, and are now breaking them. Despite the promises, they act to the contrary. On education, the Prime Minister said, "I want to give people this absolute assurance, no cuts to education." I can't count the number of times I've heard it repeated. 1st of September 2013, that's before the election. On universities, he said, "If we have to change it, we will consult beforehand rather than impose it unilaterally and argue about it afterwards." Well, that is clear to me that that spoke to an intent. That was in February 2013. Couldn't be clearer, really. And Minister Pyne, "We want university students to make their contribution, but we're not going to raise fees." November 2013. Emphatic after the election. When an interview asked why not raise university fees, Minister Pyne said, "Because we promised we wouldn't before the election." Doubly emphatic, even after the election. And my favourite of all, Deputy Speaker, would have to be from their own Liberal Party policy document. Even when he puts things in writing, you can't rely on them. In their Real Solutions policy document, Chapter 17, page 40 and 41, they say, and I quote, "We will ensure the continuation of the current arrangements of university funding." In writing, current arrangements will continue. That's right, the document is called Real Solutions. Seems to have gone from the memories of those opposite. It was the contract they put to the Australian people. But it wasn't real. It reflects the fantasy they took to the election. Actions speak louder than words, Acting Deputy Speaker, and this bill proves once again that they were an opposition prepared to promise anything to get into power, and now they're a government that can't be trusted to keep its word. And, Deputy Speaker, what they fail to understand is the real impact the decisions they're making are having on the Australian people. What they fail to understand is that these measures are unfair. Let me go through this bill. It strips away money from universities and gives them no choice but to hit students with higher fees. This bill will see $100,000 plus university degrees. It rips $5.8 billion out of Australian universities. This bill adds to the Abbott and Hockey rap sheet of cruel, unfair cuts. $3.2 billion in cuts by taking the scalpel to help. $1.9 billion in cuts to universities by reducing government course subsidies. $202 million in cuts by indexing university grants to the CPI. $172.4 million in cuts to fund, promote and reward universities for enrolling low SES students. $173 million in cuts to the training of Australia's research students, the scientists and academics of tomorrow. $75 million cut to the Australian Research Council. $31 million cut to the National Regulator, and it abolishes the $3.5 billion Education Investment Fund. Quite a resume, but that's only the beginning. What we have now seen, in addition, is the full deregulation of student fees from the 1st of January 2016, which will lead to higher fees and spiralling student debt.